For more resources, visit rymonline.org.
The Local Youth Worker is a daily podcast that's centered on 5 questions each week. Ranging from the practical to the professional, we're looking for answers to the questions you're asking. Whether you're in full-time, part-time, or even volunteer youth ministry, this podcast is for you.
All right, everybody, we're back with Reverend Kurt Cooper at Trinity Presbyterian Church in Montgomery, Alabama. Yesterday, we were asking Kurt what's the best thing he did, and now we're going to the other end of the spectrum. What's the worst thing you've done, or what are some of the biggest mistakes that you've made? And of course, you can share stories and all that, but we're not just telling the story to laugh at your downfall. What are some things you learned from that you think might be helpful to other youth workers?
Well, there are a lot of stories that I could tell where you could laugh at my downfall, but I chose 2 of the more serious ones. The first biggest mistake that I make in ministry is that oftentimes, because of pride or because of wanting to be accepted, I have tried to be cool. I've tried to be the cool youth minister and not be hokey and to not be the guy who says stuff like, "Oh, well, you're excited about Harry Potter. How come you can't get excited about the Bible?" I don't want to be. I think that's bad, and I don't think you should be that. But I've tried. Maybe I've leaned a little bit the other way and been more. Wow, there's thunder going on right now. We're in the middle of a storm, so maybe the Lord
we're on a boat in the ocean.
Maybe the Lord is rebuking me right now, saying that's not nearly the worst thing you've done. But trying to be cool, trying to be the cool youth minister. Students don't want you to be cool. You're not. Okay, you're not. You're old, and your time has passed, and you're not. They're in their prime. They're athletic and attractive, and and as healthy as they're ever going to be, and as smart as they're ever going to be, and you are some washed up has-been. So don't try to be cool. Okay.
Well, hey, in light of that too, what's been some of the fruit that you've seen from that of trying to be cool, and what would have been
the bad fruit?
Yeah, the bad fruit.
Yeah. Well, what you find out is that students expect you. What they want is for you to be that gospel influence in their life, and it causes them. It gives them kind of cognitive dissonance when you. Like you might think, oh, well, I'm going to cuss in front of my kids because they think cussing is like cool, and also because that's not they say much meaner things without cussing. So, but they don't need that. Okay, that is not that's not something that helps them.
They can get that in their high school cafeteria.
Yeah, they can get that, and that confuses them so badly that when you try to make licentiousness cool in some way. And we don't want to be all about the law, you don't want to be a legalist, but that's what happens is they get confused about what is, because they're just not people yet, okay? I think we're going to talk about what's encouraging later on, an encouraging truth, but they're just not full people yet. They, for the boys, their brains aren't even fully developed, literally. They don't, their risk aversion is way off kilter at this point, and they want you to be that steady guide. I think they did a study of playgrounds one time where they said that they put children on a playground with no fence, and they put the children on the same playground with a fence. And they found that when there was no fence, all the children stayed on the apparatus that was in the very middle. They didn't venture out very far. But once there was the fence, they used the whole playground. They went over to the corner and did the seesaw. They got on the swings and did all that. And people need borders. They need to know where the line is. And if you try to be cool and say, oh, you're not about that or whatever, as I've tried to do, what it does is it confuses them, and it really drives them away. It doesn't make you cool. It just makes your student not have a youth minister. So don't try to be cool because you're not. And then secondly, be very careful about pranks, because that has blown up in my face multiple times to the point now where I don't really do pranks because I've had some go really south and had to have had to have some people to beg forgiveness from some people because I let some pranks go too far and damaged property that was, and people have been gracious to me in my past and forgiven me for letting pranks go too far. Just have to be very careful about that.
Let's spend a little bit of time on that just a second. Why do you think that is? Because I've made those mistakes as well. We've played pranks, and why is it that it just always escalates. I mean, it's kind
Well,
of
it has to. It has to. Everything escalates. It's the law of diminishing returns. You know, if you do a little bit of drugs and it gives you that high feeling, well, the next time that you do them, you're going to need just a touch more and just a touch more until now you're doing more and more. And that's how addiction works. And if that's true for drugs, it's really true for everything. And it's definitely true for pranks where, you know, someone does a prank and maybe it was like in good taste and a good prank, but then someone wants to top them, but they're not as creative. They haven't thought it out as well, and so they're going to do something else. And, you know, it could be a competing thing. You just need that voice in your head. It's like, hey, this is not a good idea. Someone's going to be upset. You're either going to cause someone some financial harm, like that's what I've done. It's like damage people's cars and stuff, like or
plural cars.
No, just one
Okay.
one that was really bad. But that family was very gracious to me, but you're going to damage someone's property that's important to them that they need, and or you're going to hurt someone like either physically or emotionally. You're going to embarrass them. I think pranks can be funny, but you know, you never know what anyone else is going through too. You might be like, oh, let's play a prank on him. It'll be really funny. Well, he might be going through a really tough time right now, and that's like the straw that broke the camel's back. And you just need. That's why I'm so glad I work with a girl. I have Mary Cam Shaw is our youth ministry assistant, and she does all of our girls' ministry. But she also, if we're talking about things that she also kind of speaks reason or like calms me down a little bit if we want to do something, or if I'm thinking, oh, we could do this and it would be fun. She's like, hey, let's think through this for a second. And it's been good to have someone. You just need someone. You need to bounce things off of people who are not involved in it, so that they can speak some reason into why you're doing those things. Because what you don't want, that's what they're going to remember. If you hurt a kid physically, emotionally, whatever, through a prank, like you can preach great sermons. Your sermons are probably not that good. Not you, John, but just whoever's listening. They're not as good as you think they are. And you can run a perfect program. Again, your program, it's probably not as good as you think it is. But you can do all those things, all right? But if you do that, that's what they're going to remember.
Yeah.
We talk about, with my students, some of the things that constantly get brought back up are when things went wrong. Those are the things that continually get brought up. We love to rehash. And those are the things that are going to be rehashed. So when you're thinking about doing those pranks or doing stuff like that, just remember, this is going to be the hallmark of your ministry. You want to be known by this?
Yeah.
Remember when that guy got a terrible cut on his tongue? He had to get stitches? That happened. That wasn't me, but I saw it, you know, or remember this or that. Like, they're going to remember those things. So you just got to think about it really hard about pranks.
Yeah, that's some excellent advice, because I think I'm right there with you saying there's probably not a place for pranks in youth ministry, because they just always escalate. Even if you try to trick yourself and think, well, we could probably do one and try to communicate it to the students and say, let's have good attitudes. But I think you hit on it when you said, you know, one, you don't know where they are. They're in emotional context right now, and their embarrassment. And when a student gets embarrassed, that assaults their pride, and they'll pridefully come back more angry or angrier and try to do something more harsh. So,
I've got one more thing to share.
Yeah,
and if this is not appropriate, then we can just cut it out. So you can edit it out here. But like, just on this trip, we're at RYM right now. We're on this trip, okay? Because I don't know if I agree if pranks are completely out of the question. I just think they have to be really well thought out. But for instance, we're staying at a pretty cool place here, and we were making our beds, okay? We were making our beds. Everyone's getting set up or whatever. Well, one kid, a really like low-key kid in our group, he pulled up his bed, and he like was making his bed, and underneath it, I guess the group before us was girls, he found a huge bra, like a gigantic brassiere. He found it. Now that's funny, okay? That is just, I don't know what to do with that besides that there's 30 guys in our room, and now there's a bra in our room. So we didn't know what to do with it, so what we did, or what they did, I didn't know this at the time, is they took it and they stuck it in my pillow. They stuck it like in my pillowcase. So when I lay down on my pillow, I was like, what is this? And I pulled out a bra. That's funny, okay? That's funny. That was good. We've had a laugh over it. I think just because you can't do mean pranks doesn't mean that you can't enjoy a laugh together. And I think there's a distinction between those things. Now, but the problem is that instead of doing that, sometimes what they do is like, let's put sand in Kurt's bed.
Oh.
No, that's not funny. Like, it's not. I'm not going to be like,
sure?
got me. Wow, good one there. Like, that's you. Like, I'm just going to ruin my bed for the trip. Like, I'm not going to sleep well. Like, I'm going to be mad. It doesn't make me want to do a prank at you. It just makes me want to hurt you. So again, like, maybe there's a place for it.
Yeah.
But it's just, the place is not nearly as common as they happen.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's probably, if there's a place for it, it's always good to follow up with the student that was pranked and just say, hey, be honest with me. Are you all right? Did that bother you? Did it go too far?
Yeah.
But if anything else, this conversation has told us, if you're listening to this, be careful.
Oh, so careful. So careful. There's so many more stories I could tell, but we only get.
It's for another podcast.
Yeah.
Right?
Pranks gone bad.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to that, Kurt?
No, I think we've already probably gone too long.
All right, now that's good.
All right.
Thanks.